And when there is over addition of these nutrients in the water body, it leads to a phenomena called as eutrophication, right? Eutrophication, in which what happens? You guys recall what we have learned about eutrophication? Eutrophication was the last topic we discussed in the previous class, right? Yes, Pavan
Yes,
and
sir.
Cross. That was the last topic we have discussed. In today's class, as we know that there are different ways of enhancing the fertility of the soil. One is the addition of manures, another was the addition of the chemical fertilizer, third is the crop rotation, which we'll be mainly discussing in today's class. Before that, you guys tell me, what did we learn about eutrophication in the previous class? What exactly happens there? One by one, both of you have to explain this to me. Yes.
So can I explain?
Yeah.
Sir, when excess of fertilizers that we use to fertilize the soil, when they enter the water body,
Hmm.
uh, there's a huge spread of algae growth, and then they become uncontrollably. They just grow uncontrollably, and then
Hmm.
they take up the algae and the sea plants. They take up the oxygen in the water, and then eventually they die. So the microorganisms, they eat their bodies, and then also when the algae are alive, the fishes in the water have trouble breathing and getting sunlight, and plants also can't like perform photosynthesis.
Also, as you were mentioning about decomposition, as the bacteria, as the microorganisms will decay the dead algae and the plant, they will also take up more oxygen from the water, right? No?
Yes.
So all of this leads to a condition where there is very less amount of dissolved oxygen in the water. So thereby that water becomes unfit for survival of any type of living organisms. Neither the fishes can survive in this, neither any other aquatic plants can grow in this. Got it now? Okay. So con- before we talk about the crop rotation, let us quickly sum up the difference between fertilizers and manures. So manure is said to be an inorganic salt. Basically, it means that it is made up of chemical substances. Okay, and it is made up of chemical substances. And in terms of like in chemical sense, like they are basically salt. They are basically a type of salt, not the same salt which we consume. Okay, it's not like salt. When we say salt, it means that the only salt which we consume is the only one. Okay, na? In nature we have different type of salts. Sodium chloride is a salt which we consume, which we add in our food. But other than sodium chloride, there are many other salts also. Getting it, guys? So fertilizers are inorganic salts, like they are chemical salts particularly. They are prepared in factories. They do not provide any humus to the soil. Okay, and they are very rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Side by side, we can compare the given things in with the manure. So we know that manure is a natural substance, while fertilizer is a chemical substance. Manure is obtained by the decomposition of cattle dung, human waste, plant residues, etc. A manure can be prepared in the field by the farmer. It provides a lot of humus to the soil. While fertilizer does not add any humus, but manure adds a lot of humus. Also, one of the reason why manure is very bulky now, because other than plant nutrients, it contains organic matter in it also. It contains humus in it also. That is why manure is bulky. Further, manure is relatively less rich in plant nutrients. As we have discussed that manures basically makes up the general deficiency of nutrients in the soil. So question about difference question about difference between fertilizer and manure is usually asked. Okay, na? So you guys write down the question. Write down the question. What are the differences between fertilizers and manure. After writing down, you guys will write down the following points. Okay, now you will be writing down the differences in the same way as it has been mentioned here in the form of table like this. Okay, one side write down fertilizer, on the other side write down manure, and then write down the points side by side. By the way, how's the weather in your place?
Sir, it's very hot here.
Very hot there, no? Here as well. Okay, now here also it's very hot. What about you, Pavan? What about your place?
It's very hot, sir.
It's very hot, no? Hmm. What is the reason behind rise in the temperature? Yeah. What is
So
the
where I
reason?
live, so where I live is just desert. It's Saudi, so it's
Hmm.
due to heating of sand.
Okay, due to the heating of the sand, yeah. You also live in Saudi, no, Pavan?
No, sir. I live in Qatar, near Saudi. They
Near
both
Saudi.
share land borders.
Hmm. Also, there is one more point I would like to add here. Okay, you guys tell me about this thing. Out of manure and fertilizer, which is more soluble in water?
Fertilizers.
Fertilizers. Good, we have discussed about this. So fertilizers being soluble in water, it is readily absorbed by the plants. It is easily absorbed by the plants. While manure, it is like manure is absorbed slowly by the plants because it is not much soluble in water. So let's add one more point that being soluble in water, being soluble in water, if fertilizer is readily absorbed by the plants. On the other hand, we have got the manures. So a manure is absorbed slowly since it is not much soluble in water. Okay. So these are the differences. By the way, your notes are complete now. Yeah, Pavan and Gauss. I'm supposing that your notes are complete.
Yes, sir. Except the day when I had music class.
Okay, except that day. Okay.
Sir, I have some few uncompleted pages at the back. I'm actually writing it.
You have the screenshots now? You have got it from the
Yes,
counselor?
sir. Yes, I'm
Okay.
writing it.
Okay. So Pawan, I will be providing the screenshots to you also. Okay. Now I don't exactly know like which topic you have missed. Okay. Can you tell me like you must have written the topic that day?
Okay, sir. 1 minute, I'll check.
Yeah, check it. Okay.
Sir, it was before traditional tool.
Before
I
traditional
didn't
tool.
write the I didn't write the topic's name, but it was before traditional tool.
Okay, okay. Okay, after the class, I will share it with the counselor. Okay.
Okay, sir.
You guys try to write it down quickly. After this, we'll be learning about crop rotation. Okay. We had learned about manures, their advantages and disadvantages. Manures, we have learned that they enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. They makes the soil porous, because of which the exchange of gases becomes easy. It increases the number of useful microorganisms in the soil. They improve the texture of the soil. Then for the fertilizers, we have learned that fertilizers contains nutrients in concentrated form. They're specific to nutrient. They are more affordable, right now. They're more affordable. They're easy to transport from one place to another. They are easy to manage. Getting it? So we have learned about that. It fertilizer basically improves the growth of the plant, and we learned about the disadvantages of fertilizers, like it leads to water pollution, it leads to excessive use, degrades the quality of the land, it does not add any useful microorganism to the soil. So these things we have learned. Okay.
Done, sir.
Done.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Hoss, what about you?
Done, sir.
Fatima, at this time, like, do you have some other classes going on, or like, is Fatima? Let me put the screenshot here.
Yes, sir.
Like, how are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Good. Fatima, do you have some other classes going on at this time? Like, you were late the last class also. Yeah.
No, sir. It was just my network issue.
Okay. I have dropped the screenshot in the chat box. Okay. Leave adequate space for that, and then you will continue from here. Okay. You guys write down the topic crop rotation. Okay. Write down crop rotation. And then listen to me as well what I am saying here. Okay. See, we have learned we can enhance fertility of the soil. We can replenish the nutrients in the soil in three different manners, in three different ways. If you were to recall, here I did told you that there are three different methods of replenishing the soil with nutrients. One was the manure, another was the addition of chemical fertilizer or synthetic fertilizer. Third one is the crop rotation, which we are going to discuss here. The question here is, what is crop rotation? So this is basically another method of replenishing the soil with nutrients, particularly replenishing the nutrients such as nitrogen. Okay, na? Because nitrogen is a very important nutrient required by the plants to make protein. Right now, plants makes protein also, isn't it? Generally, what we know that generally what you have learned that plants prepare carbohydrate now in the process of photosynthesis, but then that carbohydrate can be synthesized into different things now, can be synthesized into a protein, can be synthesized into fats. Getting it now? Like Mustard oil is there, sunflower oil is there, olive oil is there. So these contain fat now. Getting it? Also, different kind of lentils like beans, soya bean, uh, kidney beans, black beans. They contain protein. They are good source of protein. So for the plants to prepare protein, they need nitrogen. So nitrogen is one of the essential nutrient required by the plant, or no? Obviously it is, no? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fatima and Pavan, you guys turn your camera on. Okay. This should already be understood to every student in the class that they have to keep their camera on unless they are traveling or they are like there's some other
No,
issue.
sir, my camera is not working.
Okay, then it is fine. Okay. So I'm saying that before we discuss about the crop rotation as a means of improving the fertility of soil, we should know something about the leguminous plant. Okay, now certain type of plants are there which we are going to discuss about first. So plants like the pulses, peas, beans, groundnut, gram that is chana, and berseem that is clover. These are leguminous plant. These are leguminous plant. For example, which plant is this here? Can you spot it? This is peas. Okay, now this is the peas plant. As you can spot over here, like this is the pea over here. Okay, so peas is one of the example of leguminous crop. Now, what is special about the leguminous crop now? That leguminous crops have got root nodules in them. Okay, now you see this bulb like this swollen structure in the root hairs, in the roots, they are called as nodules. What do we call them?
Nodules.
Nodules. Nodule. These are the root nodules. Inside these root nodules, there lives a nitrogen fixing bacteria by the name of rhizobium. This bacteria here is called as rhizobium. Remember, in your previous class in the 7th grade, in the very first chapter, Nutrition in the Plants, you would have learned about some heterotrophic plants, where you would have learned about parasitic plants, saprotrophic plants, insectivorous plants, and symbiotic plants, right? Symbiosis, you all understand now? It's a type of mutualism, like it's a type of relationship between two organisms where both of them share nutrient and shelter with each other, right now? So rhizobium shares a symbiotic relationship with these plants. Okay. How does it share such a relation? So rhizobium will help the plant get nitrogen. In return, it gets the shelter. Rhizobium is getting shelter in the nodules now. So both of them are benefiting each other or no? Rhizobium helps the plant get nitrogen from the soil while plants provides the shelter to the bacteria. Yes, Fatima, is it clear? Pavan and Gauss?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That is one thing. Now, we know that plants' leaves have got stomata on their lower surface and they can do the gaseous exchange, particularly the gaseous exchange like carbon dioxide, oxygen, and water vapor. It can occur through the stomata, right? But plants cannot take nitrogen gas directly from the atmosphere, though there is 78% of nitrogen in the atmosphere, but still plant cannot take it directly. They cannot take the nitrogen gas present in the air directly. Okay, so leguminous crops have the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen to nitrogen compounds which this plant can now take. So what happens? Those nitrogen compounds will go to the soil and it will improve its fertility. So later on, we will understand how it is basically going to happen. Basically, from the air, the in the air we have got the nitrogenous compound, like this is the nitrogen gas here. Plants cannot take it directly. Getting it, Fatima? Getting it, everyone? Plants cannot take it directly. So the bacteria, what it does now? The bacteria will convert that nitrogen gas into nitrogen compounds that now the plant are ready to take in. They will convert that nitrogen gas into nitrogen compounds that the plant can now take in. So the plant will now take in. And why do they need nitrogen? In order to prepare protein. Is this much clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these nitrogen compounds will be fixed by the bacteria into the soil. It goes into the soil, will improve the fertility of the soil, right? Some of these nitrogen fixed by the bacteria in the soil will be used up by the leguminous crop for its own growth, and the rest of the nitrogen compounds will be left in the soil. No? Like the bacteria, this rhizobim bacteria is fixing the nitrogen gas from the air into the soil by converting into nitrogen compound. So it is getting added into the soil. The fertility of the soil is increasing. Some of the nitrogen compounds, the same leguminous crop will absorb, while the extra will be left in the soil. So if there is extra amount of nitrogen left in the soil, isn't the fertility of the soil going to increase? Because nitrogen is one of the important nutrient, remember. Fatima, you getting it? No? Pawan, you getting it? What I'm telling?
Yes.
One, if you explain what we have discussed so far. Pawan, you explain to me what we have discussed so far.
Sir, can you explain the part which you have explained just now?
See, what I'm
Sir,
saying,
I,
Pawan,
nothing, sir.
go on, go on.
Sir, I did not understand the nitrogen compounds.
Okay, okay. That is why I'm saying, I always say that wherever you find something difficult, just stop me right there. Okay, no? Please do not stay silent in the class. You are meant to ask questions here. You are meant to learn. Okay. See, nitrogen compounds basically what it means now. When we have got, say that this is nitrogen only. Okay. The symbol of nitrogen, it is in short, we write it down as N. Okay. So this is basically the atom of nitrogen. All right. Now, when two atoms will come together, when two nitrogen atoms will come together, so it forms the nitrogen gas. It forms the nitrogen molecule. It forms a nitrogen molecule here. Getting it? Basically, when two or more than two atoms comes together, so a nitrogen molecule is formed here. So this is basically N2. So the nitrogen gas that we see in the air now, that is basically the molecule of nitrogen. Let me repeat again. This is nitrogen here. Like we have the atom of nitrogen. Atom, you guys have heard of this, no? The smallest, like everything is made up of a very small particle called as atoms, right? Okay. So nitrogen atoms comes together to form the nitrogen molecule. So this is basically the nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas in the air is in this form of molecule. Talking about nitrogen compounds. So when nitrogen reacts with some other elements, like nitrogen is an element, oxygen is an element, hydrogen is an element, carbon is an element, neon, silver, gold, iron, aluminum, all these are different elements now, right? More than 118 elements are there in the nature. Getting it? So when one element comes together with another element, like here, nitrogen comes together with oxygen. So now this is a compound. Nitrogen can come with O3 also. Okay, now that is also a molecule of oxygen here. So then that forms compound. So what basically the bacteria is doing, it is converting the N2 gas, this nitrogen gas, into nitrogen compounds, into NO2 or NO3 here. Hope you guys are getting it. Hope you are getting it, Pawan.
Yes.
Sir, O3 is ozone, right?
Yeah, O3, like if we have only O3, then that is ozone. Good. O3 here is ozone. If that much is clear, then we can proceed further. All right. So far what I have said, that crop rotation is another method of replenishing the soil with nutrients. So we have got the leguminous plants. Let me write it over here. Right now, you don't have to write anything. I will tell you. These are the leguminous plants. What are the examples of leguminous plants? We have got peas, beans, groundnut, or chana, groundnut, or basically gram. So these are leguminous plant. What is special about the leguminous plant? They have got root nodules, and inside the root nodule, a bacteria by the name of rhizobium is found to be living. What is special about the bacteria? That it can convert the nitrogen gas into nitrogenous compounds, which now the plant can absorb. So the pea plant or any other leguminous crop which I am growing will take in those nitrogen compounds, and the extra nitrogenous compounds will be left back into the soil. So the fertility of the soil is going to increase or not? You guys tell me.
Yes, sir, it will increase.
It's definitely going to increase now.
Yes.
Because if you remember, I have told you there are 17 essential nutrients needed by this soil. For example, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, manganese, molybdenum, etc. Isn't it? So nitrogen is one of the very essential nutrient required by the plants. Okay, so thereby planting a leguminous crop like pulses, peas, groundnut, gram in a field will result in nitrogen-rich soil. In nitrogen-rich soil. So on my agriculture field, I have grown the leguminous crops for one season. Okay. Now I will cut down all the crops once they have grown. So when I have to grow another crops, let's say these are non-leguminous crops. Okay. Some other crops I have to grow now. So while I am growing another crops, do I need to add the nitrogenous fertilizer to the soil? Keep this thing in mind. Previously, I have already grown the leguminous crops in the field. The leguminous crops have improved the nitrogen content of the soil because those
So,
bacteria have helped. Yep.
so you don't have to, right?
We don't have to add. Exactly. Why? Because the bacteria already fix the nitrogen into the soil. So
Like
next time,
goes through the soil and fixes the other plants as well.
right now.
It does not only fix one plant but all the plants next to it, or choose the plant.
Hmm. So the bacteria has already improved the nitrogen content of the soil. So next time when I'm growing another type of crops, so I don't need to add the nitrogenous fertilizer. Okay, no? So that is the thing. Hope that much of discussion is clear to each one of you. If there is even a slightest doubt, please tell me.
No, sir. No doubt.
Good. So right on the topic, what is crop rotation? Right on the topic crop rotation, then we will further write that the practice in which different types of crops, in bracket you write down leguminous and non-leguminous crops are grown alternately in the same field or soil, same field or soil is called crop rotation. It's called crop rotation.
Done, sir.
After this, write a little bit about the leguminous crops also. Write down leguminous crops like, write down leguminous crops. You can write down leguminous crops are pulses, peas, beans, gram, that is chana, that have root nodules in which a nitrogen fixing bacteria, in bracket the name is rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium, rhizobium leaves, it converts the atmospheric nitrogen, converts the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen compounds which plants can take, which plants can take. Just give me 1 minute. Yes. Also write down one more thing, that basically the planting of the leguminous crop in the field, it has the same effect as adding nitrogenous fertilizer in the soil. Okay. So write down one more point, that the planting of a leguminous plant of a leguminous crop, we should be rather saying, planting of a leguminous crop in a field has the same effect as adding nitrogenous fertilizer in the field. Write down this much. Fatima, your notes are complete now. Have you missed writing down in anything?
So you send the notes of you send the notes, right?
Yeah, I did share it with the counselor.
Okay.
Make sure that if you have missed any topics to write down, you let me know about that. Okay. By the way, you guys are made to write down notes in the school also, right?
Yes. Say and we started a new chapter.
Okay, that should be microorganisms, I guess, right? Okay. Just a fun fact or kind of a gross fact about the bacteria. There are more number of bacteria in our mouth than the total humans on earth.
Yes, I've read that too.
Somewhere between 15 to
They're
20
not really,
billion.
they're not really harmful.
And not all of them are harmful. Some of them are in fact good for the oral health, while some of them are bad for the oral health.
Sir, what does oral health mean?
Oral basically, like, it refers to the overall health of the teeth and the gum and the tongue.
Oh, okay, sir.
Make sure you guys memorize the examples of leguminous crops. Okay, no pulses, peas, beans, gram, soya bean is also there. I've written only few. Also, the bacteria also gets the photosynthetic products also from the plant. Since it is having a symbiotic relationship now, a relationship in which two partners would be living together, they would be sharing shelter and nutrients with one another. So bacteria not only gets shelter but also gets the photosynthesis products, like it will get carbohydrates and other things also from the plant. Guys, write it down fast.
Done, sir.
Done. Fatima, Pavan.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Okay. After this, we will learn that. Okay. After we will learn that how it is done, and then we will learn about the advantages of crop rotation.
Done, sir.
Done. Okay.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. I'll come back.
Okay. After adding manure and fertilizer, this topic will be completed. We'll be learning about irrigation. Okay.
Peas, is it beams or beers? What is it?
It is beans actually. BEANS. Okay. So after this, this topic will be done. We'll be learning about irrigation. Okay. Why is it important, right? And what are the sources of irrigation? What are the methods of irrigation? Like if you go to villages, no, like in a few villages, still old methods of watering the field is used. Okay. And what are the modern methods of irrigation? What are the modern ways of watering the land? We'll be learning about such things. Then we have the topics like there are some unwanted plants that also grows on the field, so that needs to be removed. So how can we remove it? What are some unwanted plants that grows on the field? Fatima, I will be putting the screenshot. Okay, no, like I'm
I
going
just
to.
short I completed after class.
Okay. Just leave the space, and you will complete it after the class. Okay, no. Leave adequate space for this. So from here, let's continue like how it is basically done. Write down the topic, how it is done. So simple, the concept is quite simple. In one season, we will grow leguminous crop. Another season, we will grow non-leguminous crops. That is the same. That is the thing basically here. Okay. So what is basically done? First, you write down that in crop rotation, the non-leguminous crops like maize, paddy means rice that is still inside the husk, right? Maize, paddy, millet are grown alternately with leguminous crops like pulses, peas, beans, grams, etc. Okay, in the same field, obviously, in the same field. Further, you mentioned that when a pea crop is grown first, or rather write down this thing. First, let's talk about the non-leguminous crop. Okay, now. So when a maize crop is grown, it takes away a lot of nitrogen from the soil. Maize is a leguminous or non-leguminous crop? Tell me. Maize is leguminous or non-leguminous?
Non-leguminous.
Non-leguminous. So that's why it will take away the lot of nitrogen from the soil. Okay. So it takes away a lot of nitrogen from the soil for its growth and makes the soil nitrogen deficient. Nitrogen deficient. Then in another season, basically next time, another season, leguminous crops. Give it one example of leguminous crop. Yes, Fatima. Is anyone? Give one example of leguminous crop.
The peas.
Peas. Okay. So leguminous crops like peas are grown in the same field.
What about beans? Like,
What are?
what about beans? What are the main leguminous
Will you please
crops?
repeat that again?
Sir, can I just type my question down?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just type my question down?
Yeah, please write it down. That will be better. Okay. So crops like peas are grown in the same field. Okay. Then the nitrogen fixing bacteria enriches the soil with nitrogen compounds and increases
Send it.
1 minute and increases its fertility, right? So that is the thing. So your question here is that what is mainly the leguminous crop? Okay. See, leguminous, are you asking the examples or like the what does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Okay, see. Basically, now the thing is that the leguminous crops now, like these are the type of crops that have the ability to fix nitrogen in the soil. As simple as that. These crops have the ability to fix nitrogen in the soil. They are grown for different purposes, like some of them are grown for the human consumption, like we consume it. Some of them are grown for the animal feed also. Okay. So examples are beans, peas, soybean, gram, that is chana, peanuts. So that is the thing. One more thing I have explained that the leguminous plants now they have a symbiotic relationship with the bacteria in their root nodules. This is the root nodule. So almost all the leguminous crops have got root nodules in which a bacteria lives, and with that bacteria it has a symbiotic relationship. Getting it, Fatima, or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no? So that is the thing. Okay, let's continue what I was writing here. So and increases its fertility. Now, when another cereal crop like wheat is will be grown after that, now, so wheat can then utilize that extra nitrogen from the soil for its growth, right? And will produce a bumper crop. So in this way, rotating different crops, leguminous and non-leguminous crops in the same field, it replenishes the soil with nitrogen naturally. Will it have any disadvantage? Huh? What do you guys think? Can it have any disadvantage? Obviously, no.
No, sir.
Right? It won't have any disadvantage. And when next time wheat, it should be understood that wheat is a non-leguminous crop. Okay, no? So, and when next time wheat crops are grown, it can take the extra nitrogen from the soil, and there will be high yield. So in this way, crop rotation replenishes nitrogen in the soil naturally. Okay. Do you guys have English classes daily?
In school, sir?
Yeah, in the school.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes.
What? Okay, good. What are you guys currently learning in that?
Right now, we were starting on a grammar part.
Okay, in grammar, what you are learning?
Like the basic past tense. Like she's just reminding everything in the past.
Okay. Isn't the first chapter the sentence? Like in English grammar, if I'm correct, like the first chapter is sentence, I think, like where you'd learn the different kind of sentences. Like, can you guys tell me like what are different type of sentences?
Oh, yes, sir. In the grammar part, yes.
Mm-hmm. Like assertive sentences are there, interrogative sentences.
So
About like,
simple, compound, complex.
like during, and like we were, I think it was going time, so like we were just doing the during part, and then she was like, I'll teach the other part in the on Sunday.
Okay. I think there are four or five different type of sentences. We have imperative sentences, are there exclamatory sentences, interrogative or assertive sentences, right?
So,
Okay. Let me know once you guys are done. Try to write it fast.
One minute.
Okay.
Done, sir.
Done. Others also write it down fast.
Done.
If you're okay, those of you who are done, write down the topic advantages of crop rotation. Write down advantages of crop rotation. It mainly has two advantages. The first advantage is that it improves the fertility of the soil by replenishing it with nitrogen. Okay. So if there is increase in nitrogen in the soil, so it will lead to an increase in the production of food grains. Right now, that is one thing. Another advantage is that it is going to save a lot of nitrogen fertilizer, right? Because the leguminous crops grown during the rotation of crops can fix atmospheric nitrogen with the help of their nitrogen fixing bacteria. There is no need to add nitrogenous fertilizer to the soil. So first, increases the fertility of the soil by adding nitrogen. Another saves lot of nitrogenous fertilizer. Fatima, you done or not?
Oh, sir, I'm done.
Done. Okay. Write down advantages of crop rotation. First advantage is that it it improves the fertility of soil by replenishing it with nitrogen. Second, it saves a lot of nitrogenous fertilizer. Why so? Because we know that leguminous crops grown during the rotation of crops can fix atmospheric nitrogen with the help of their nitrogen fixing bacteria. So there is no need to add nitrogenous fertilizer to the soil.
Done, sir.
Done. Okay. I'll just also write it down quickly.
Yes, in the last line.
Okay. In the upcoming class, now we'll be learning about irrigation. Okay. That's the topic we're going to learn about. So as we know that water is one of the essential thing required by the plants to grow. Right now, without it, its growth is not going to occur. The crop plants, they absorb water from the soil, and we know that the amount of water in the soil is not constant throughout the year. The water from the soil, it is being lost constantly, either due to evaporation or either due to percolation of water to the lower depths of the ground. So therefore, it becomes very much necessary to supply water to the crop fields periodically. Okay, now on time to time, we need to provide water to the crop fields. Okay, because the water does not remains in the soil. Done. It is continuously being lost either due to evaporation or either due to percolation into the lower depths of the ground. So basically, the process of supplying water to the crop field, crop plants in the field, that is called as irrigation. Okay, just like we humans cannot survive without it. No? Just like we humans cannot survive without it. So in the same manner, the plants can also not survive without the water for a long period of time. So if we stop watering plants, like suppose you have a plant growing in the pot and you stop watering it for over a week or more than that. So thereby you will see that the leaves will start to wilter, the plants will basically start to dry up right now. So thereby it is essential, and we'll be learning in the upcoming class why it is necessary, like what are the factors affecting irrigation requirement of the crops, etc. Okay, so that's it for today's class. If you have any particular question, tell me regarding our